like you mentioned, you built technologies that are now used in 4G and 5G. So basically, you are the ones who got it going. If the 5G is what we're using, clearly we're using technology that was built by you
Yes, parts of it, not entirely, but
entirely.
parts
Yes,
of it on the application level. Yes. So, for example, today you do a call transfer on Teams, right?
right,
From one device to another. That was my
right.
PhD, actually.
That is amazing. That is so interesting to know. I mean, how did you even think about it so long back? I mean, I think we are just getting comfortable using this technology of jumping into calls from one device to another. But to think of it back then, like, how did it click?
Well, in those days, if you remember, we didn't have any 4G or anything of that sort. We only had 3G and Wi-Fi. These were the two dominant technologies that were existing. And every
Correct.
time I would enter my house while I'm on a call, the call would drop and get disconnected. So I was really frustrated with the way this was happening. So
Right.
what I did was I built like a little TV application using an Android set-top box. And what I did was I would go to the TV, press a button, and the call would get transferred to my TV straight away, and I could start talking to it or my computer. And that is how this whole technology came about. It was the need of the hour rather than just
Amazing.
something that comes to your mind.
That is amazing to know. Oh my God, this is, oh, I'm okay. So you also mentioned that you were a lecturer at the university, right? So how
Yeah.
was that experience? Like, what was it that I think made you, first of all, get into becoming a lecturer? And what was the most exciting part of
There are multiple things. One is I'm a hands-on guy, so I like teaching hands-on experience to the students. Usually we would, rather than, teaching them something theoretical, which, is not useful in the future because they will never know how to use it, I would come up with practical examples for these things. So we had a lab which had got all these 4G equipments in at an application layer.
it?
And
Okay.
this was a vision of my PhD supervisor, Professor Khalid Al Begin. And he
Right.
said, we need to do something better than what everybody else is doing. At that stage, we came up with this very weird idea of courses that students would enjoy, right? It should not be just like, you come into a class, I write on the board and stuff like that. Let's build something innovative quickly. So
Right.
things like, we tied up with companies like Dialogic, which was a part of Intel, with Orange, with you can say NMS systems, a lot of different companies, Vox Pilot, and so on. So what we would do in those days is create like applications, like drag and drop applications, and people could dial a number. The students could dial a number to, let's say, for example, order an ambulance by dialing an emergency number. And this is all made up, it's not real, but made up stuff. They could dial this number and then automatically they would be connected to the network. And they could then have, like, fun stuff going around. Like, if you want, if an, it would say, like, no ambulance is available, to upgrade to a helicopter, please enter your credit card number, for example. So they
Right.
would have fun with it because somebody is having a heart attack and no ambulance is available and they have to pay to upgrade to a helicopter, things like that. So it became a
Right.
learning experience, and the students actually learned it in a very fun way, and they were more employable by the end. Companies like Orange, or you can name
Right.
Nokia, Siemens, or whosoever. They were more employable by these companies because these guys had hands-on experience.
Correct.
So we would even teach them hands-on programming, how to write an app, for example. They would have a
Right.
complete course of 8 to 9 weeks to write an app. And then they could go in the industry and write their own app. They had projects to write their own apps. And that is how we found one of our employees, Stephen Burrows, who was excellent at that. So many of these students whom I taught ended up becoming employees of Infogen Labs eventually.